Okay, so this is an old one. This is from NAIC last year. I think I made these definitions. So let's say tier S. I'm going to separate tier S from tier 1, as not only are they tier 1, but they're probably going to be much more popular than the other decks, and they're the decks everybody is taking into account right now. And then tier 1, archetypes in this tier are meta-defining. These are the decks that are being teched for and countered. Archetypes in this tier are expected to be popular and perform well. Maybe we won't use tier S, but I think we could just make tier S the 1 or 2 decks that are just definitively above the other tier 1s. We'll just put everything in tier 1 that's tier 1, and then we'll decide if it has to be separated between S and whatever. So yeah, tier 1, archetypes in this tier are meta-defining. These decks are being teched and countered for. Tier 2, archetypes in this tier have inherent strength but are not as oppressive and are threatening as tier 1 decks. These decks are not expected to be universally teched against. Archetypes in this tier are expected to perform decently well, but are not seen generally as overpowered in a diverse field of decks. And this is all old decks. This is from NAIC last year. Tier 3, archetypes in this tier have flaws such as lack of consistency, no draw engine, bad matchup spreads. These decks are noticeably in a lower echelon and are expected to be much less popular and less successful than decks in tier 1 and tier 2. Rogue, these archetypes are either not established or has fallen off since their inception. So that should hopefully help a little bit. So we'll leave tier S blank for now. And let's get this show on the road. Let's just go from top left to right. So first we have Raichu, Nuzzle Raichu. I'm going to put Nuzzle Raichu, probably, I'd rather put Nuzzle Raichu or Nuzzle Boltund, whatever you want to call it. I'd probably put this in Rogue over not viable. I'm going to say Rogue. Let's see what everybody else says. Let's start getting a vote going on here. So, Nuzzle Raichu is the thing in question right now. I think it's gotten mainstream attention. It's gotten mainstream attention like YouTube and Twitter and stuff, but I don't think it's ever gotten mainstream competitive attention. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Let's see. Rogue feels right. 3, bottom of 2. Yeah, Nuzzle Boltund. That's what it is. By popularity, it's tier 3, but at the end of the day, it's Rogue. I think that. Not viable. Tier 3, tier 2. Bottom of 2. Rogue. Tier 3. Throw it wherever it lands. Think it makes it into tier 3? Okay, we've got a lot of people arguing for tier 3. Let's just make sure everybody is paying attention to tier definitions though. So yeah, basically tier 3 means it's going to be a little less popular and has a poor matchup spread and has some consistency issues. Maybe don't start with a random rogue deck. That's a good idea. All right, let's start with a meta archetype, T-Lackey. That's a good suggestion. Good suggestion. Gotta go to dinner, Panda. All right. Yeah, I'll catch you later for sure. Good suggestion by T-Lackey. Check Discord real quick. Put in tier 3 for now, or Rogue because there's so many decks. I think T-Lackey has a good, might as well put it in 3. Okay. I think it works in 3. I think 3 can work for Nuzzle, Raichu, Boltund, Pikachu. Because there's some solid arguments here. It's not, I think you guys have convinced me it's not Rogue. I was originally going to throw it in Rogue, but after some more thought, I don't think it's Rogue because it is like a known thing. So I think it's just lower tier. But you won't separate the Mewtwo variants because separating the Mewtwo variants means I have to make separate images and stuff. Is this tier list just for the Limitless format? Yeah, I think we'll make this just for the current meta. So whatever, you take it what you want. It's for Limitless and it's for Players Cup and whatever. We'll keep it in tier 3. All right, next, Mill. Let's talk about Mill. Mill variants in general. So Chinchino Mill, Magcargo Mill, Chinchino Mill with a little thin control package. I say 1.5 because it has a favorable Blounds and a favorable Pika, usually. I think it does. And then bad Draga, bad ADP. Alright, we're getting a lot of 1.5s and a lot of 2s. We got Locke with the 3. Locke's trying to meta manipulate. He wants to keep those mills down. I hear you, Locke. Rogue, definitely. Let's just throw it in not viable. Tell everybody. Yeah, I think 1.5 seems good. I think 1.5 is fair for Mill. Cash agrees with Locke. Every deck is not viable besides Mew World Order. I think 1.5 works. That's good. We came into agreement there. That's nice. Alright, next, let's do Zacian first. So I have ADP here, but we'll save that for later. Do we have Zacian here? We should have Zacian here somewhere. There we go. Okay, so ADP Zacian. That's what the Zacian is going to stand for. Since we're doing this live and YouTube will be watching it with the Discord, I can just use these pictures and say what the deck stands for. So the lone Zacian stands for ADP Zacian. I say ADP Zacian's tier 1 still. So I don't think just one tournament can really define where this deck goes. It underperformed, but I also think people were teching for the wrong things with it a bit. I think people were teching too heavily for Dragapult with their ADPZs, and they should have been teching more for Baby Blounds and Pika. Or at least preparing for that. Let's see. So we've got 1, 1.5, 1, end of 1, 2, 1.5, 1.5, 1, tier 1 easy, 1, 1, gassy with a big 1 here, 1. Not as oppressive as other T1 decks. I'd say 1.5 because it seems to be a turn slower than the tier 1 decks. This is ADPZ. This is right here. I'd say 1.5 seems to be a turn slower. So it seems like we're kind of split between 1 and 1.5. Yeah, this is ADPZ. Correct. ADP Zacian. We're not using S as of now. Yeah, I think ADPZ should be tier 1. We're gonna save the lone ADP picture for like rogue ADP variants like Quad ADP Greens and Coco V Greens or Coco V Greens ADP, whatever. I'm gonna keep ADPZ in tier 1. And we'll see where we go along the road. But I'm gonna make an executive decision here that I think ADPZ goes in tier 1. Let's move on to the next one, which is going to be Speed Zacian. The Jirachi Prism is going to count for Speed Zacian. That's what so Jirachi Prism means Speed Zacian. Hey, what's up? Thank you for the follow. Okay, let's hear what you think about Speed Zacian. We got tier 2, 0.5, 1.5, 0.5, 0.5, 2. We were told there would be free food. I mean, maybe if you go to your fridge or your pantry, maybe there's free food there. Tier 1.3, tier 1.5, tier 3, tier 1, but it's underplayed. 1.5, 1.5. I think it should be 1.5. It's just here because that's where I dropped it. We didn't place it yet. What's up, Burger Burrow? I think 1.5, and I also think I see enough 1.5s to put it there. We can order within the tier after, like, we get a solid amount of decks in there. We can order the decks within the tier list. Yeah, I think ADP... I'm sorry, I think Speed Zacian goes in tier 1.5 for sure. Is it worth considering adding some perimeters below the tier name? Like what, Lackey? Yeah, I would do that if you had some suggestions. Order tiers after we're done with every deck. That sounds good, Lock. Like, are we only going to have a single deck in S tier? We might not do S tier. We'll have to see if we're doing S tier. Personally, I'll say right off the bat here, I think if we're doing S tier, it would be Pika and Baby Blounds in S tier. But we'll have to see what everybody thinks about that. Send Sandaconda immediately to the bottom. To S tier it goes. Okay, Spell Tag Malamar. Where are we putting Spell Tag Malamar? I'll tell you what I think after I see after I see what everybody else says, because I don't want to skew anything. Let's see, we got 3s, tier 2. 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3. 2, 2. So bad now, tier 3. Spell Tag Malamar. We're talking about Spell Tag Malamar. Tier 2, tier 3. 2. I would say, based on its matchup spread, which, if you're a patron of mine, you've already seen my matchup spreadsheet. And if you check out Pokestats either tomorrow night or Friday, then you'll see my matchup spreadsheet over there. But Malamar has like an exactly 50% matchup spread in my opinion. So I could see it either going to the very bottom of tier 2 or the very top of tier 3. I think we have more 3s than 2s, so I think we'll put it in tier 3 and it'll probably go to the top of tier 3. But that begs the question, is Spell Tag Malamar and Nuzzle Raichu really in the same tier? Like, no, they're not. Those two decks are not in the same tier. So that makes me want to put this up to here. We're getting some mixed opinions here. So I don't think these two are in the same tier. So yeah, Nuzzle is better than Mally. Yeah, I think Nuzzle has to go Rogue because we're gonna have this problem with everything. Let's see where this goes. I'm fine. I'm personally fine with putting Malamar top of tier 3 or bottom of tier 2. It is inconsistent, and Malamar does have some really bad matchups like Dragapult. But Malamar also has a really, really good Baby Blounds matchup, which holds a lot of weight if Baby Blounds is going to be like 15+% of the day 1 meta. Okay, so we're going to leave that here. Let's talk about what do we want to do next. Mewtwo Variants. Let's talk about Mewtwo Variants. So, Welder, Ultimate, and Mally Mewtwo. Or just pick the one you think is best, and where would you put that? 1.5 or 2? 1.5 or 2? Okay, I like that. I would say 1.5 or 2, so let's see what everybody... But we've got a lot of 1.5s and 2s. It had a really, really good success rate this past weekend, or last weekend in Limitless Q3. Wouldn't mind 1.5, but it's worse than Mill and Zacian. Okay. 2, 1.5. Welder is the best at 1.5. I would agree. I would put Welder at 1.5 and the others at tier 2. Kind of. Maybe Ultimate at tier 1.5 too, just because it has a good Pika ROM matchup. I do think there is an important distinction between Welder being better than Ultimate. I personally think Welder is better than Ultimate, but there are a lot of players and a fair amount of good players whose opinions I respect who would say Ultimate is the better choice over Welder. So I think Mewtwo variants are fine, just culminated into one grouping. Thanks for the follow, Neo. I'd say whatever Mewtwo variant you think is best, vote for that one. Where do we put that one? There's a lot of 1.5s here. Let's throw it at 1.5. We'll see what happens when all the decks are put up. I think enough of everybody agreed with me. I think what we'll do is I kind of have a predetermined placing for all of these, and if we have a tiebreaker, I'll just decide it. But the chat was pretty tied between 2 and 1.5. Actually, we might have even had more 1.5s in the chat. Yeah, the Dragapult matchup isn't that bad for Welder Mew 3 on average. It's definitely unfavored, but it's winnable. Next, let's talk about... I have to sneeze real quick. Okay, the sneeze went away. Can I do a live poll? How long would that take? Let's see, can I do a live poll? I've never done live polls before. I'm not sure. Well, it's just, this is easier. I'm fine just roughly estimating it. Let's do Dragapult. Everybody wants to talk about Dragapult. So, Dragapult Vmax. I could probably do a poll. I'll maybe do a poll next time. But this is fine. But thank you for the suggestion, Inferno. I should have thought about that. Tier 1. Tier 1, maybe S. Okay, yeah, we're not doing S, and I think everybody... We're not doing S yet. We'll get there if we need to. But yeah, I think Tier 1 is great. And let me say, I think I started talking about this. But... I think I started talking about this earlier, but I think if Dragapult wasn't... If Japan didn't get their set before we did, and we didn't already see how good Dragapult VMAX was, I think Dragapult VMAX would have been doing so much better in the Limitless tournaments because people wouldn't have already been prepared for it. Like, if everybody wasn't preparing, like, oh, but we have to make sure this beats Dragapult, or let's not play this deck because it loses to Dragapult. If everybody wasn't already ready for the deck, I think it would have been so much better, and it's making it look worse than it is. So, Tier 1, for now, we're probably not going to do any S decks. As long as everybody... I think we're fine without S. But yeah, we'll see what it looks like at the end of it. I'm just going to take some of these Rogue decks and non-viable decks and toss them into the Rogue and non-viable. And just tell me if you disagree with any of them. So, Florges I'm putting in Rogue. Luxray, I think, is actually better than Rogue. I think Luxray is probably tier 3. I've actually been testing it a bit myself. I would even consider putting Luxray at low tier 2, potentially. Just because it has such a really good Baby Blounce matchup. It's kind of in the same boat as Malamar. Lucario Mel Metal. Oh, no, that's not a Rogue deck. That's Weezing. We'll put in... I want to put it in Rogue. We'll put it in Rogue. And we'll put Galarian Weezing in Rogue as well. Hold up on floor just for a second. Let's see. I wasn't looking. We want to start. He's got the counters. Dragapult. Hold up on Florges. Okay, does anyone think... Yeah, Florges style's Rabombi. I don't know if anybody saw this. But like 2 weeks ago, maybe, I tweeted out, I either just made the best deck I've ever made, or it's a pile of garbage, will report. And it was Florges Dolls I made 2 weeks ago, and I thought it was really, really good. And it is pretty good, and it beats things that don't have, like, Fion and stuff. But it can also just stumble over itself, like if you don't flip heads for a turn, or if they are playing a Fion, or if they're playing like custom catcher still, if you hit a random person playing that, versus Pikarom, it could be a little iffy. But yeah, I've actually tested it myself. I did see Mahone was playing it, yeah. Tier 3 makes more sense than Rogue. Alright, so Florges, is it Rogue or Tier 3? Those are the only two options. Give me one. Florges, Rogue, or Tier 3? Rogue to not viable. Rogue has no tourney experience yet. That's a good point. I don't know. Chat's kind of turning me over to Rogue. I think chat's kind of keeping it in Rogue for me. We're going to go with Rogue on this one. Let's not spend too much time on Florges, but I think we're going to pop it in Rogue. Alright, Arcanine, someone tell me what the thing that goes with Arcanine's called. Burning Scarf. Arcanine Burning Scarf. Can we throw this in not viable, please? Okay, thank you. Just one person said it, and that was enough for me. Great. Charizard from Team Up, not viable. Sorry, Cash. Tarakion Spirit Tomb, not viable. Oh, is this the wrong Arcanine? This is the one that's going in there. Dear what? Are you kidding me? Does anyone disagree with these things? I don't think they're viable. Tarakion could be Rogue? Do you think that, On Guard? On Guard thinks Tarakion Spiritomb can be Rogue. Does anyone else agree? I guess since it has fighting type, I could see it. Alright, Tarakion, not viable or Rogue. Let's hear it, chat. Let's pull it up. Yeah. So if all of your bench Pokemon have at least 1 damage, this attack does 150 more. So it does 200 for 3. So fighting Twin Energy. Not viable. Okay, yeah, my first instinct was not viable. We're gonna keep it there. Excadrill, Rogue or Tier 3? Yeah, it day 2'd, so I think it goes to Tier 3. I kind of think that. Okay, we're gonna toss Excadrill into Tier 3 for now. Your bench does not have to be full for Tarakion, but all of the bench Pokemon have to have damage on them. Dustox, Rogue, or not viable? Is Dustox Rogue or not viable? If anyone doesn't know, it's Dustox Cryogonal. You like paralyze your opponent and item lock them. It's like budget standard shock lock crap. I don't even know. But Rogue or not viable? I see enough Rogues. I'm fine with Rogue. We'll toss it in Rogue. Rogue. Lost March, Tier 3. Lost March next, tier 3, I think. Okay, Granbull. Is Granbull... I think Granbull could be not viable. Okay, let's go back to Jump Pluff, or Lost March. Okay, let's reopen the floor on Lost March. Maybe we jumped the gun there a little too quick. Okay, Lost March, let's talk about it. Lost March easy 3 on guard says. Literally no one has played it. That's also true, Inferno Hippo. No way Lost March is the same as Malamar. I could see that. So it's, we got S tier, we got S1 1.523 Rogue not viable. Jace fan. Lost March really bad. Yeah, I think Malamar moves up to tier 2 anyway. Notice how we have no tier 2s yet. Malamar's probably going to end up moving up to tier 2. Okay, so final verdict on Lost March. Let's hear it. Is it 3 Rogue or not viable? Those are the 3 choices. Speak now or forever hold your peace. We got Rogue, 3-3. Rogue. Arguing nobody plays it, it's hard to say Mally is T3. But Mally at least is a pre-established archetype that was having success in the previous format. Lost March had 0 success in the previous format. Also, there were like 20 people that played Mally, and I think there were 2 Lost Marches, or maybe 1 Lost March. Like, I think Mally's matchup spread because of Blounds and Pika makes it go up to, and potentially against Mewtwo if Mewtwo becomes better for Q4, and like the meta as it grows. We're gonna put Lost March in Rogue. I think that's fitting. Like, I have a bunch of archetypes here I don't care about and wouldn't normally put on a tier list just to get everything out there. So nobody says, oh, that a deck was missing or anything like that. Does Mally have a good matchup versus Pika that plays Malolana? No, that probably switches it up a bit. But not, I think like maybe 1 out of 5 to 1 out of 10 Pikas will play Malolana. Double V is a solid point. Okay, let's go Dark Box. Dark Box built however you want it. Weavile GX is the only common thing. It's either 3 or Rogue, I think, Dark Box. I think it's 3. Do we have a multitude of people disagreeing with 3? We're gonna toss it in 3. Okay. Yeah, 3 is fair. Yeah, so making one deck making day 2 isn't like a huge thing, especially it's online, best of 1. A a very large day 2, but it is it can be an okay measure. I don't know. It's up in the air, but I do think Dark Box is tier 3 regardless. So the person didn't play in day 2. They made day 2, and then they didn't play in it because their internet wasn't working. So they just took like auto scoops every round or whatever. They just dropped, I guess, and they got placed into the last place. Placed into the last place. So yeah, I think T3 is fitting for Dark Box. Toxtricity Vmax. Yeah, I would put Toxtricity Vmax at the very bottom of tier 2 probably. Or maybe not the very bottom. We'll have to see how big tier 2 ends up being, but I think Toxtricity Vmax is easy T2. Probably easy T2. Alright, we're gonna put that in T2. Goons. The Obstagoon. Obstagoon Hard Tier 2. Rogue 1.5, 1.5. Ooh, okay. Goons has a really good matchup spread. Baby Blounds helps that out. People who don't know how to pilot Pika versus Obstagoon helps that out. adpz helps that out. Goons is weird because it can be totally obsolete if people prep for it. So does that put it to Rogue then? Since it's so dependent on the meta. I think it's comfortably at tier 2. Can't be Rogue. Yeah, you're right. Rogue would just be like an easy out to toss it in there because it depends on the meta and like it's very meta dependent, but going in I think tier 2 is fine. Move Mally up. We'll move Mally up to here. Move Mally up, move Mally down. I think Spell Tag Malamar is between T3 and Tier 2. And I really don't want to make a Tier 2.5 just for Malamar. Alright, we'll leave it like this for now. We'll get there. Yeah, let's throw Pika and Blounds in real quick. So we're throwing Pika and Blounds into tier 1. Nobody's complaining about that, right? Blounds not viable. Is Pika S tier? Pika is S tier? We haven't gotten to putting things in S tier yet because everybody's kind of torn on that. But I think Pika and Blounds goes to S, potentially. Or maybe just Pika. What is tag call Pika, Luke? Just Pika? Okay. I'll take that into consideration. Tag call Pika, it's all the Pikas in one. If something's going to S tier, Pika's going to be the first one, and then I think the only thing that could potentially follow that is Baby Blounds. Either Pika in S or nothing in S. Personally, I think it's none. I don't think Pika is a whole other level. I think it was heavily played, and people were preparing for Dragapult instead of Pika. I think that's what it was. Like, I don't think Pika is insane. It's very, very good. It's consistent. It's heavily played. We'll probably end up keeping it none, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Alright, Baby Dragapult. Is this rogue or not viable? Where does this go? Baby Dragapult. If you don't know what it does, look it up. Rogue or not viable. Cute rogue. I'll have to make a new tier for that. We got a nice split of rogue and not viable here. I think it's just budget meme. I think it's not even just janky meme .budget.deck.youtube thumbnail. That's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna put it down here. Firebox. Firebox, where are we putting that? 1.5, 22222, 222. Cash with the S tier. It's way better than Toxtricity and Malamar. I agree with that. Magnechew has a really good point. It's way better than Toxtricity and Malamar. Mally shouldn't be in T2 the first place. So here's the question. Does that mean we put Firebox in tier 2 and then move these to tier 3? Or do we keep those in tier 2 and then put this back up to tier 1.5? I think this looks fine. Firebox is not 1.5. Move Mally to not viable and Toxtricity to 3. That's just incorrect. If you got Mill as 1.5, surely you must have Firebox at 1.5. Yeah, I'm kind of also thinking Mally goes to top of tier 3. I'm very between that, but you guys know that. We can talk about that one all night. Where's Chandelure? I'm not adding Chandelure. Just assume that's in, like, not viable or something. Where's the big 40 card rogue deck? Okay, we'll just, in spirit, Chandelure is in rogue. In spirit. So there's only 2 Milotics because I added Milotic twice. So let's just put that somewhere. Milotic is probably rogue, like whatever you want to, whatever it is, Welder Milotic, ADP Milotic, whatever it is. Rogue probably. What do half of these cards do? Yeah, if you don't know what it does, chances are it's in not viable, or it's about to be thrown into not viable. No, it had no... Hey, Savage Value, what's up? Thanks for the follow. Yeah, it's had no results. I think it's very rogue. Like, if I came up against... Like, let's say someone who was new to the game, I'm helping them, or I'm coaching someone, and they come up on ptcgo against Milotic and they say, what's this deck, should I worry about it? I'd either say no, that deck's not viable, or 2, no, that deck's just a rogue deck, you don't have to worry about it. Oh yo, thank you, Fanny Packin. Can I still play Pidgeotto? I kind of have Pidgeotto, like, lumped into Control overall by this Persian, so that's Control. We'll see what everyone thinks about Control, though. 75% of these decks belong in the trash. Mike's going savage mode right now. But you're not wrong, a lot of these decks can just go in the bin. So yeah, what are we doing with Milotic? I think it's either rogue or not viable. Let's hear it, chat. Milotic. 30 seconds to speak your mind on Milotic. We got rogue, rogue, rogue. Not viable at all. You lose to Pikarom, GG. I think Rogue is, like, it's better than the decks that are not viable. I think it's a Rogue deck. Like, a handful of people played Milotic decks for Q3. It was on the meta, the frequency distribution. So I kind of do think it's a Rogue deck. Although it's not very good, but I think it's a rogue deck and people will play it. We could just combine rogue and not viable into other. We could just make like an other. Like rogue / not viable. Can we make a tier below not viable for Milotic? I think that would save time. Is anyone against making a rogue / not viable tier? Is anyone against that? Because I think that sounds like a really good idea. And 1 tier for worse than Nuzzle. Okay, great. Here we go. Rogue / not viable. Or other. Only reason I'm against it is that rogue deck should theoretically be able to beat something above it consistently. That's a good point. So, what can Milotic beat consistently? Milotic has to be able to beat something. It puts out a decent chunk of damage. I think it has to be able to beat something. Okay, we should have 2. I'm gonna toss Milotic into rogue just because it is something that people are gonna play. I think so. I think it's like, when I don't know, maybe my definitions are screwed up, but when I think of Milotic, I think of a rogue deck. Well, we're just gonna stick Milotic in rogue. If it bothers that many people, we'll come back to it. All right, next we're gonna do Green Zard. We can't make everybody happy. I'm just gonna stick it in rogue. Green Zard. T3. Not rogue, but not T3. That's just T3 then. Thanks, Inferno. What deck is the Reshi? Green Zard. Reshi is the Green Zard. I think 3 is fine. Guardian. I guess we could put Guardian and not viable. Let's go grab a picture of Guardian. I typed in Guardian. That's not going to give me anything. Actually, I don't want to click at it because that might wipe the entire thing, so we're not doing anything. Just imagine Guardian's on here. Hey, what's up, Kieran? Thank you for the follow. Heard Luke was scared to play me. Kieran enjoyed it on the discussion, brother. So what were we talking about? Green's Reshi? Yeah, Green's Reshi T3. Alright, attacking Magcargo GX. Can we just pop this baby in Rogue? I think attacking Magcargo GX goes in Rogue. Attacking Mag is a 3. Can't be Rogue. Way better than Rogue. Rogue is kind of like waiting room to be put into 3 or 2, or maybe like steal a top 8 of a tournament if it has a perfect meta, I feel like. Like, Rogue is kind of like undefined, hasn't had a chance to shine, or it used to be good and now it's like a lot worse than it used to be, but it might have some people that stick around on it. So attacking Magcargo tier 3. We'll toss it into tier 3 then. Makes sense. Lackey has some good input there. Kiernan says hot ass takes, but I think Spiritomb and Galarian Weezing are between 1 and 1.5. That's what I like to hear. Let's get that Galarian Weezing up there. Whatever you say, Toomer. Alright, what do we got next? Inteleon Vmax. Inteleon Vmax, tier 3. Would be higher if it wasn't for Pika. I had it in tier 2 earlier, and then Pika got hyped 2 weeks ago, and it got put all the way down to tier 3. If you move Weezing up, we riot. You don't beat everything but Pika, because there's also Bolt Tund, there's also Toxtricity, there's also Luxray, there's also the Rogue Nuzzle. Yeah, I know you're not capping. Kieran actually thinks Weezing is very good. And I love Weezing. It does have potential. And so, like, I'm not even going to stop there. You don't even beat everything but Lightning. You also, like, it's close versus Dragapult with Malamar. It's close when adpz has 3 energy switch. Baby Blounds is like a very weird matchup because you can hit them for 1 energy and knock them out, but they can still one-shot you. So I think Inteleon is 3. If we had a 2.5, I'd consider 2.5 just because I really like the card and I've seen its potential, but I think it goes to 3. Blacephalon GX. Is this even a deck anymore? Blacephalon GX Naganadel. What do we even put a deck like Blacephalon GX in? Not viable? I'm fine with not viable. It's not. Like, nobody plays it, right? Kieran says, regardless of the deck it's in, Evoltol GX is tier 1. We'll just put Evoltol GX up there even though it's not its own deck. Okay, so Blacephalon GX is a weird one for me. I feel like it's not... I guess it could be Rogue because it's fallen out so much. We're gonna need our top scholars on this one. I feel like it deserves at least tier 3. Okay. I guess so. I mean, it could definitely still beat some things just because of one-shot potential, I guess. We'll throw it in tier 3. Leave it in the comments below. Okay. Aerodactyl Gx, I think this is the definition of Rogue. The new Aerodactyl Gx thing that came out of the Japanese tournament. You can call a deck that just top 32 not viable. It top 32 in the Sunday Open, which is like not a it's not a competitive tournament. It's just like for fun and practice. So like that doesn't really put a deck anywhere. Top of Rogue, Aerodactyl GX. Yeah, we'll order the tiers later, but yeah, Aerodactyl GX goes into Rogue. Boltund V decks. I think Boltund V decks go in tier 2. Boltund V. So like Boltund V with Zeraora stuff, and I guess you could even maybe call Green's Pika Boltund V, because that's what Limitless called it. So yeah. I've been impressed with Boltund Ganadel, actually. I started testing some, like, Boltund Focus stuff today, and actually was impressed as well. My boy Gyro Sean, I don't know if he's still in here, but he's played a lot of Boltund. I messaged him about it and told him that Boltund might actually be on the board for me. Okay, Phalanx. Phalanx V. Rogue. What do we think about Phalanx V? And Sandaconda. I think they're both kind of similar decks. Okay, Phalanx V, Rogue. Sandaconda, Rogue. Let's just put them both in there. 3 purely because it should do well against Pika. Hey, Leon, thank you for the follow. You think Sandaconda is T3 at least? See, here's the thing. I don't think we can put Sandaconda and Phalanx with, like, Dark Box, Luxray, and Excadrill, because these decks actually have a little tiny bit of results, and these decks are, like, pretty poopy at the moment, it seems. Did we make another tier yet? No, we didn't. But you put Naga Blounds with that. Yeah, I'm really not feeling well about Blounds up here, to be honest. Like, I kind of want to put Blounds at, like... I really don't like Blounds being in T3. Sandaconda V, it does 220 damage for 2 fighting and a colorless. Coming back to TCG, haven't played for 6 years. Buy the trainer toolkit, 100%. I think that looks like a really good thing to buy because it comes with the Denes. And you should also buy the new Pikarom battle deck if you can find it. I just don't think anyone has tried hard enough to make a good Phalanx list yet. I think it really, like, you don't have a lot of room because you have to play the Phalanx Vs and the baby Phalanx, and you don't have a lot of bench space to work with. Yeah, Phalanx builds itself, like Mellow Magikarp said. Phalanx is better than the stuff in Tier 3 because it has a good Pika matchup. Okay. Yeah, so actually let's do this. The ones that are giving us trouble, I think we can say these 3 are giving us trouble to agree on. I'm just going to put them down here for now. We're just going to have a question mark for right now. And let's move on. Put my Lodic down there too. Okay. Mally down there. Mally's definitely either bottom tier 2 or top of tier 3. Let's do Spiritomb next. I think Spiritomb variants go tier 1.5. Easy tier 1.5 for me. Okay, cool. We're all agreed on Spiritomb then. Control. This Persian, this Make 'em Pay Persian is going to represent control. What are we doing with control? So this can be Cinccino control, which I guess that's basically the control. Tier 2, Tier 2. Control 1.5 or 1. Rogue, but has the potential to be up to 1.5. I think Control and Mill... I think putting Control and Mill in the same tier could be reasonable. Yeah, Delcatty, Control, all of that. Just lump it all into the same thing with the Persian. I'm thinking 2 or 1.5. I'm fine with either. Now that we have a meta, Control knows what to tech. That's true. That is very true. Let's just put Mill and Control next to each other, and we'll just keep them together the whole time. I think that's fine. Where Mill goes, Control goes. That's fair. Cinderace Vmax. I think Cinderace Vmax has more potential than a lot of people give it credit for. I'd probably say bottom tier 2. Bottom 2, top of 3. Yeah, I agree with you, Cash. Let's put it right over Mally. Cinderace is better than Toxtricity, so let's put it right over Toxtricity. Yeah, I think Cinderace is really, really solid. I've enjoyed playing it a lot. The only thing that scares me about Cinderace is, well, one, I don't like playing decks that rely on Welder. And two, like, if ADPZ is popular, which I don't think ADPZ needs to be the only deck we take into account anymore, right? We're taking Pika into account, we're taking Baby Blounds into account. Those are being held to a really high regard. Like, we're holding those with a lot of weight. So ADPZ was the thing that scared me off of Cinderace, like, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it's not as scary anymore. Yeah, so I think tier 2 for Cinderace is really solid. I think that works out well. We'll keep it in tier 2 right there for now. Malamar Vmax. Should we put Malamar Vmax with Dark Box? So I should have elaborated, sorry. The thing that scared me ADPZ versus Cinderace is even though you can tank with this big thing that you're healing every turn, ADPZ can just gust twice and hit your support Pokemon and win. That's the flaw for me. Mally Vmax to Rogue. Okay, we'll put Mally Vmax to Rogue. That's fine by me. Dark Box shouldn't be in tier 3 to begin with. Let's put Dark Box in question and we'll come back to it. Because I trust Lackey's opinion. Or I value Lackey's opinion. He knows what he's talking about. In before Kieran says, bro, Mally Vmax is broken. He probably hasn't even read it yet. Don't get him started on it. Stonejourner Vmax. Probably not viable, but I guess like ADP Stonejourner Vmax could be Rogue-ish solely because it hits Pika and stuff for weakness. I think Stonejourner could be Rogue. Yeah. We're gonna toss it in Rogue. Electrode Stonejourner, sure, yeah. I can see why it would get played, but it really shouldn't be, yeah. Does Kieran even play Standard anymore? I think Kieran's playing in Q4, and we've got the juice. Rillaboom. I could see Rillaboom bottom of tier 2. So this can be with Eggrow, without Eggrow, although I think you should always be playing Eggrow. Rillaboom Vmax, whatever. T2. Yeah. Cool. T2. Okay, Lucario Mel Metal. For me, this is probably high tier 2. Maybe even 1.5, but I might be biased, so I kind of want to hold back from saying that, just because I really, really like Luke Metal, but I don't think it's as good as Mill and Control. We'll put it in 2 for now. Yeah, so Luke Metal Zacian. Bolton and Pika hurt Luke Metal is exactly it. And if you haven't seen my video about the success rates for decks, definitely check that one out, because Luke Metal had 30 people played Luke Metal and had a 10% success rate, and I think 30 people played Speed Zacian as well, and that had like a 15% success rate. Put one Milotic and not viable, one in Rogue. See, I planned for this. Past Luke knew that we would have such a discrepancy over Milotic, we would need 2 cards, so we could put one in Rogue and one in not viable. Quagsire variant things. Rogue. Can we put this one in Rogue? I think Locke is actually playing a Quagsire deck for Q4. So I'd like to hear Locke's opinion. Oh, you're playing Mally Vmax? Okay. Yeah, Quagsire was actually in day 2. It was in a Mew deck. Quagsire lost to Paul? Oh, rip. I'm gonna toss it in Rogue. Lapras Vmax. I want to say Lapras Vmax is just like very bottom of tier 3, but I guess it could be argued that it's Rogue or whatever. So let's see what people say about Lapras Vmax. Of course, with Frostmoth, with Palkia GX, with whatever. We'll toss it in Rogue. Where's Keldeo though? It's with Lapras. You can't see it. It's sitting behind Lapras. Okay. ADP variants that aren't Zacian. That's what this ADP represents. So, quad ADP greens, you know, the day 2 deck that everybody's talking about. That aren't Zacian and aren't Spiritomb. Yeah, good call, Gassy. T3. 3 for the greens, one that's decent. Okay, I was gonna say Rogue. For this. But I guess we can toss it in tier 3. Hey, Edge, what's up? What's up, brother? Good evening, Mr. Network. Good evening, Edge. I guess we can put this in tier 3. I'm gonna have, when I tweet out this tier list, I'm gonna have to put like what all of these pictures mean, because someone's gonna see ADP in tier 3 and think that I'm out of my mind. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, this ADP means non-Zacian, non-Spiritomb greens things. So namely, quad greens, quad ADP greens, and Coco V greens ADP, and whatever. So that's what this means. Mount Network. Does this really deserve to be in the same tier as these? I mean, it did day 2. And Luxray and Excadrill and this and this and this. Okay, actually, Weezing should go to not viable now. It got completely ruined out of the format by healing and Dragapult V and stuff like that. Okay, we'll keep it there. Copper-Raja Vmax, basically with Luke Metal Zacian, or I guess with ADP, is Copper-Raja Vmax Rogue. The nose alone puts it into S tier. I definitely can't put it in tier 2. It definitely doesn't belong in tier 2 with these other decks. I think 3 is fine. It's a deck that people know about. It's been tested. So it's not Rogue anymore. Like, it's enough of a deck that if you come up against it, you probably know how it's built. And it has its okay matchups because of the healing and stuff. Less consistent Luke Metal with better Goons matchup. That's true. I'm fine with tier 3. Does anybody disagree with tier 3? Does anyone hard disagree with tier 3? Who is unfollowing if I put it in tier 3? Let me ask that. Okay, great. Gassy, get out of here. We lost Gassy, but we gained Copper-Raja Vmax. Okay, Snorlax Vmax. Snorlax Vmax. Rogue with Welder, Scoop Ups, Max Hyper Potion, whatever. Rogue. Okay. I'm good with Rogue. And Alolan Persian GX. I want to put that in Rogue as well. Is that cool with everyone? Cool. Okay. Now let's get to the bottom of this question mark stuff. Actually, before we get to the question marks, is there anything in Rogue we need to move to not viable before we get to the question marks? Jay's fan, so there is a difference between Rogue and not viable. Like, not viable is like, just don't play it, it loses to too many things. Lost March should be put in not viable. I wouldn't mind that, but I think a lot of people see potential in it. Move Snorlax down not viable. Okay. I'm fine with that. Snorlax and Stone should be not viable. I think Lapras actually debuted two of the Limitless qualifiers, but that was before Rebel Clash. Snorlax Rogue. See, I think Snorlax is Rogue-ish. I wouldn't call it... So I wouldn't call... I'm torn on this. I wouldn't call Snorlax completely unplayable. I also wouldn't call Weezing completely unplayable, but it's probably not a good idea to play it. Yeah, Lost March I just don't like. I've never liked Lost March, so I feel biased about that. Basically, if it's not viable, it means there's literally no reason to play it. It can't beat anything. See, Weezing, I see, like, okay, there's a reason to play it, because you beat Baby Blounds, and you beat Spirit Tomb, and you beat Malamar, so, like, that makes me want to put Weezing up to Rogue. Snorlax beats Obstagoon, maybe? Maybe goes, like... Maybe beats Malamar because it plays healing. Maybe beats Luxray because it plays healing because they two-shot it. I guess Snorlax could actually go pretty head-to-head with Dragapult Vmax. Yeah, Doom Count Doogover. You ain't capping. Okay, put Dark Box up to Rogue. Yeah, I think Gramble is just really, really bad, I think. Or is it Rogue? You know what? Okay. We're doing this. You decide what it means. We're deleting everything else. This is... Mr. Network is at wit's end on the Rogue not viable discussion. We can order this tier. We're doing this. We're getting rid of these two. Gave chat too much power. Yeah, you guys are just glowing with power. Or just delete some of them. We could just take some of the cards out. Thoughts on Sandaconda? What do we think about Sandaconda, chat? Is it Rogue or not viable? I think it's probably Rogue. Honestly, we could just... Let's just do this. Let's just take out the decks that are, like, so bad I don't even think they should be on the list. Or so irrelevant I don't think they should be on the list. I don't think these should be on the list. I know we could just make it Rogue. Let's just get the not viable decks out of here. They shouldn't even be on the tier list. I think that's a better solution. If it's not viable, it's just not even going to be on the tier list. Yeah, we're doing one less tier. We're just getting these things out of here. Tarakion, get it out of here. I kind of think it's a Rogue deck. Like, these I don't think should be in here. Does Tarakion get voted off the island? What do we think, chat? Tarakion gets the boot. Alright, we're booting Tarakion. I'm sorry, everybody. What else do we have here? Missed the reason why Rillaboom's tier 2. I just think everybody thought it was solid. Nobody really said it should go any higher. Nobody said it should go any lower. I think I want to move, I think if Copperajah, Vmax, and ADP Greens and Inteleon are tier 3, I think Weavile's tier 3, or Dark Box is tier 3. Let's work our way down from the top. So tier 1. Let's start from the top. We're going to get rid of tier S. I think that's decided. Should we get rid of tier S? Chat, what do we think? Because I'd rather keep all this in tier 1 because tier S is kind of like why do we need it? And I agree with you all. It's either Pika in S or nothing in S, but I think I'd rather just not have anything in S. Like, ADPZ last format, I could see being in S until Mill came around. Then I think it was kind of tied between those two at the top of the format, but that doesn't matter right now. let's delete S tier. We're gonna delete S tier. And this is tier 1. Does anything from tier 1 need to move down? Or does anything need to move up? Is tier 1 staying? I think tier 1 is good, and I also agree with it in this order. I think this order is correct as well. I think Blounds is definitely above Dragapult right now. Drag over Blound? Okay, a few people think Drag over Blound. Move ADPZ over Dragapult. Alright, so Pika definitely first one. Drag over Blound easy. Alright, let me just get one word. Draga or Blound? Give it to me in the chat. Here we go. I think, like I said, I think Drago would have performed much better last weekend if it wasn't already so prepared for. Like, if we didn't get to see Japanese results first. Okay, so I think it was pretty tied. I'm gonna leave it as it is, but also they're all in tier 1. Like, I don't think there's much difference between Blounds, Draga, and ADPZ. I'd argue that popularity-wise, Pika is so much higher, but in strength-wise, I think they're very close. At least that's my opinion as of now. But also, that's only my opinion. You guys can have whatever opinion you want. And tier lists are quite arbitrary, but they're fun to make. So, take it with what you will, but I think this is fine for tier 1. Because, like, the chat wasn't, unanimous about it, so I think we'll just keep it like this. Alright, move down to tier 2. Sorry, tier 1.5. Let me read this in the chat real quick. Thinking of Kabutops Omastar to Q4. Using Jirachi as your only basic. If you're running a fossil deck, I think Aerodactyl might just be better. I mean, Kabutops Omastar sounds fun. I'm just not sure how competitive it is, really. It does, like, I haven't heard of it. I'm not even completely positive what the cards do. I know Kabutops does, supporter lock, but I don't remember what its attack does. I'm a dip if Mally's tier 2 when you post this. I'm going to be disappointed. I think it might be. We'll have to see. Alright, so tier 1.5. Persian represents control. Balobo represents mill. Jirachi Prism represents speed Zacian with Jirachi Prism in it. Mewtwo represents all Mewtwo decks. Ninetales represents Firebox. Spiritomb represents both ADP Tomb and Tomb Beasts. I'd be fine putting, doing this. Actually, yeah, I think I'd be fine like this. What do we think of this? Actually, I think ADP Tomb might be better than... they're so close. It doesn't matter. They're all in the same tier. Tomb might be a little bit better. Matchup spread-wise, I think it should be a little bit better. We'll put it up. We'll put it up. Okay. Were we keeping Firebox in 1.5? I'm fine with considering it the bottom of 1.5. Okay, cool. Tier 2. I think Boltund decks are, like, better than people give them credit for. Honestly, like, most of tier 2 are the decks that I would say better than people give them credit for. Like, I think, like, if they were played as popular as tier 1 decks, they would see a little bit better success. Like, if they just had more people working on the lists more and testing it out more and giving it more attention. Boltun easy top. Yeah, Boltun's a really good card. I want to keep Malamar bottom of tier 2, even though it didn't really perform. It didn't perform in qualifier 3. I could definitely see reason to put it down to tier 3, because it didn't have performance, and it's good in theory, like, because of its matchup spread versus Blounds. Like, Blounds is bringing it up a bit. Malamar 3. Let's take a vote on Malamar. 2 or 3. That's all you have to say in the chat. 2 or 3, and I'll know what you're talking about. Spell tag Malamar, whatever you want to call it. Psychic Malamar. Yeah, Malamar Giratina. Alright, we got a lot of 3. We got a lot of 3. Mally's very underrated. Yeah, like, I think people looking at it from, like, the statistical side, like Tate and I, like, the matchup spread, are putting it in tier 2, but I could see why everyone wants it in tier 3, so we'll put it in tier 3. We'll put it top of tier 3. The very tippity top of tier 3. And we'll do some of this. And then I think the rest is fine. We don't really have to order the rogue decks. Like, it's going to be hard to order the rogue decks in a way everybody's happy with, I think. So rogue is unordered, and I'm going to put that here in parentheses. What else are you doing this stream? I'm going to play a bit of Dragapult Vmax on ptcgo, I think. But I didn't expect us to be making the tier list for so long. Yeah, this tier list actually turned out pretty well. It turned out pretty well. Dark Box way higher in tier 3 because of favorable Pika. Yeah, okay, I could see Dark Box going over Inteleon, perhaps. Play Draga Hammers. I'm not a fan of Draga Hammers. I see the merit of it. I think it's fine. It's just not the deck I think I'd be playing if I play Dragapult. Because I want to prepare for Blounds and Pika, not the mirror match. The Reshizard represents Green Zard, which maybe will move a little bit lower. Is there a list floating around for Dark Box? Yeah, Locke's Twitter. What do we think about the order of tier 3? Excadrill probably doesn't deserve to be that high, honestly. What is the tier 3 ADP deck? This is ADP greens. Inteleon above Magcargo. Luxray lower than Mally? I think Mally's the top of tier 3. ADP greens top of tier 3. That's a hot take. I think I'm going to leave tier 3 like this because I also don't think many people care about the order of tier 3. Okay, wait, hang on. Do people actually have a better opinion on ADP greens than I thought? We'll put it up here. Sure, we'll put it up here. Let's do that. we'll do that, and I think it's done. I think the deed is done.